you happy, make you want to leave, wish you would see you, make you want to sing a little rhyme. To your labor, it'll turn December to June. It'll make a turn of your neighbor, even if you don't know how to carry a tune. This'll make you whistle, bound to make you whistle. Start you off on Monday, right through to Sunday. It's bound to make you whistle all the time.
Jack Buchanan with Elsie Randolph, one of the great musical comedy partnerships of the 1930s. Elsie Randolph, how did you come into the theatre in the first place?
I don't really know. I know my mother had a friend who ran a dancing school, and when I was quite a tiny tot, she said, I want that girl, one of my dancers, when she grows up. She's got long legs and she'll be a good dancer. My mother said, oh, dear me, no. But, I don't know, the seed was sown, I think, because I used to sneak up to her school after my literal school, and practice and do things up there. I never learned dancing, but I used to go up there and just mess around. And then suddenly she said she was sending out a tour of, or some twice-nightly review, and I think it was run by Harry Day in those days. And she wanted a troupe of girls, and she called them the Pretty Six, but you couldn't have seen more hideous girls. And I said to my mother, could I please be one of them? We sat up all night and we both cried, and then she said, the finest bit of advice she could ever have given me, she said, well, if you're going to do it, you've got to make a job of it. Don't think you can come back home and just give it up and then go back when you feel like it. I was 13 when I went into the show, because I remember very well saying I was 16. I look older than I do now, as a matter of fact.
And you did make a job of it. You never went back?
Oh, no, I adored it, loved it. I was hungry and I had some tough times, but my mother never knew that. I just carried on and I loved it, adored it.
When did you move from the chorus into a leading part?
Oh, dear, now that's awfully difficult to know. I think, now, wait a minute. I was in London in the chorus of a show for which Jack did the production of the numbers. Jack Buchanan. He produced these numbers, and again, it was a tiny troupe of kids. Also, they used to have a speciality turn, come every week and do a solo. And he was playing in a thing called Battling Butler in the West End. And he came, and by that time I had, as usual, gone on for anything or anybody and had advanced and was more or less playing a leading part in a small way. And he came along, saw me, and said, oh, hello, you still here? And I said, yes, I was dashing on. And he said, when are you coming to work for me? I said, I'd love to, Mr. Buchanan. So he said, well, I might have something for you. Come up and see me at the matinee. So I thrilled to the marrow. And the next matinee, I dolled myself up, took a clean pair of white gloves with me in case the others got dirty, and went up to the theatre, shown up to his dressing room, and as I opened the door, he said, oh, my dear, I'm so sorry. I'd no idea that you'd advanced in the play. I've got nothing for you see. I've only got a tiny little part of a giggling flapper who keeps asking for autographs, which I thought you'd be suitable for, and doubling up in the second act as a maid, and an understudy. So I said, that's marvellous, but he said, you won't be the first understudy. 2 other people will have to be off before you can go on. And the understudy was a girl called Sylvia Leslie, at least the part I was to understudy. And her mother was Lady Ward. She was the daughter of Spy, the cartoonist, you know, the famous cartoonist. And it so happened that within 2 weeks of the show finishing, Sylvia had to be presented at court, which meant she was off for the night performance. And her understudy, luckily for me and unlucky for her, had laryngitis, and on I went. And of course I did Dancing Honeymoon with Jack, which was the most lovely duet, and I had a solo as well with the chorus. And he stood at the side, and apparently the stage manager said afterwards, look at those kicks, that kid's going to go a long way. And that night his manager came up and said, Mr. Buchanan would like to take up your option. Will you go to the office on Monday?
What was the first show in which you actually sang and danced in the lead with Jack Buchanan?
Well, when you say in the lead, I wasn't in the lead until I did That's a Good Girl, when I played little Wilhelmina and doubled as a detective. No, I sang and danced with him in Tony, because we did I Don't Love You.
But your biggest song, in fact, came in That's a Good Girl.
Oh, yes.
The famous duet, The Fancy Our Meeting.
Yes, lovely melody, lovely melody.
Our meeting, or just one fond greeting, when days are so fleeting, and a few paradise feeling, with no thought of scheming. A dream was a dream come true. Though there is one thing my dad doesn't mad about, if I recall, there's a leather boat, your meeting, when days are so fleeting, for just one fond
There was a whole series of shows, weren't there? I made a list of some of them, Stand Up and Sing, and Mr. Whittington,
Yes.
and This Will Make You Whistle. Do you remember any of the songs from those shows particularly?
Yeah, well, of course, This Will Make You Whistle from This Will Make You Whistle. I'm in a dancing mood. Oh, there were so many. I really can't remember. They were lovely melodies, all of them.
I'm in a dancing mood, a gay romancing mood, whenever I'm with you. The music is brighter, my troubles are lighter too, when I'm with you. I'm in a merry state, a light and merry state, whenever you are near. I feel like a feather when we dance together, dear. So let me hear, I'm on the look at my head, in this heart, you just have to take it in. It's really heavenly, the way you follow me. You seem to know my mood. You know how to charm in, and I'm in a dancing mood.
Jack Buchanan has always seemed to be the epitome of a sort of an English gentleman about town. Was he in fact like this?
He was a strange mixture, bless him. He was, of course, he was the essence of elegance, and I mean, he taught me everything I know in the way of decorum. He used to say to me, don't go out looking scruffy, always have your best clothes on, go out with the right boys, and, you know, be seen so that people say, well, I sat next to us now, she was drinking this, and she was eating that. And they're impressed. Of course, that's gone by the board these days. He said, if you want to wear your slacks and your woolly sweater, go home. Don't go out and be seen. It's all part of your job to look right when you're out in the public. And he upheld that himself, you know. But on the other hand, I used to go out many times. He and his mother had a house in Brodick on the Isle of Arran in Scotland. And it was very primitive. I think theirs was the only house with electricity in it, with electric lights. We would go out fishing in the boat, and he'd be in shorts and a shirt, you know, and he was a mixture of both. He was a true Scot. I mean, when he was on the job, he was immaculate, but he loved the simple things as well, very much so.
And of course, he was not just an entertainer, he was a producer, and he worked very hard behind the scenes.
Brilliant. He was a darling man, and he did everything. He would be up all night doing lighting. He would superintend the dresses. Whoever he employed, he would let them have carte blanche, but they had to come to him, and he would pass the sketches. And he had a foible. I always wore white in the last act because it looked nice with his tails, you see, in those days. And he used to say, you can do what you like, but nobody used to wear white in the finale because Miss Randolph always wears it. It was rather sweet, typical of him.
Is there any one song of Jack singing that you particularly remember or like? Well,
it's so strange because I've been associated with so many of them. I loved There's Always Tomorrow. The thing that tore me to pieces when I heard the LP, they revived a lot of our numbers on an LP, on a couple of LPs, and although I never heard him sing it, it really was before my time, the rather scrawny little orchestration and the voice and the recording of Her Mother Came Too, I think is absolutely beautiful. I love it. I mean, it's not beautiful music, but the whole association, Ivor and he, Ivor Novello, wrote it. The whole thing, to me, is so moving.
Your partnership with Jack has ended. You've been doing some straight plays and a little bit of television and films and things like that, but you're not really working wholeheartedly.
No, I'm being selective. You see, I left the stage when I married for a time, and then my poor darling died, and I felt an awful void. I didn't miss the theatre while I was married, but then something else filled it. But now I feel I need something to take the place of my husband, so I did go back to it, but I'm being a bit selective now. I'm doing it when something appeals to me, when I really like it and want to do it, and something that I consider suitable. So many people say, oh, why don't you revive this? Why don't you do that? Why don't you do the other? I don't believe in that. Certain revivals. I did Hay Fever and I did Amorous Prawn. But I don't think it's a good thing to go back on things you've done before, because they do date, no matter what people say.
I believe you live down in Sussex now, and
yes, I do.
Your home there
yes,
is attractive to you.
Oh, yes, I love it. I potter. I don't know what I do. People said, what will you do when you go down there? I should take to the bottle. And I said, yes, there aren't enough hours in the day. I love it. I garden and I swim and I walk and I love it. Adore it.
If the brunette has no virtue of the early classic kind, but it has to disconcert you by being in your mind. While the Berlin plumbers plumbing, while the Vienna cooks do wrong, they cannot desist from humming the patriotic song. Then die Elisabeth mit der Stunde Weihnachten, hält sich viel mehr Freude an dem neuen langen Kleid. Doch da sie beinahe hat, Stadion und Kerzengrad, tut es ihr so leid, das ganze kurze Kleid. Da kann man doch verstehen, beim Gehen, beim Drehen, da kann man nicht mehr sehen, und niemand weiß Bescheid. Ja, wird Elisabeth